Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Booklover, and this is Book Talk. This is where I talk about the books that I read. And this is a good book talk. This is episode 14, and this is the story of A New Hope Star Wars A New Hope by George Lucas. Let's talk about this book. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I like to read books. I like to talk about books. So I decided to make videos to where I talk about the books that I read. And this is a good one right here. This is Star Wars A New Hope. And I'm going to have a good time talking about it. Hopefully, we will have a good time talking about it. But before I get into the video, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to let everybody that comes by know that your time is really precious to me, and I thank you for giving me your time. So, thank you. Okay, let's get into this. Now, this is Star Wars. I read it from this book. This is the book that I read. This is the first story of the three parts. This is A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and A Return of the Jedi. And the way that I'm going to do this, see, I'm not going to cover the story of Star Wars in this video. Instead, I'm going to give you some of the differences between the book and the movie. Now, there's a little bit more than I'm going to talk about here, but these are the ones that really stuck out to me that were really interesting. So let's get into this. Now, the first thing that's different is the prologue, the opening scroll. And you know how it says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Well, in the book, it's a different prologue, and it's talks about the Emperor and all that. There's a lot more to the opening crawl than they give you in the movie, which I'm glad that they put in the movie, because the opening crawl in the movie is really awesome. I love the way it starts, you know, that little let you know what's going on, the opening crawl. And one of the other differences that I noticed right away is there's no music playing while I'm reading this, and there's none of that John Williams music. And one of the things that's really great about these movies is the music by John Williams. It's fantastic, and it's a big difference when you read the book. Too bad I can't have that music playing as I'm reading it. But yeah, we got the difference of the opening crawl. Now, the first thing in the story that's different, it's a little bit different, but the first thing that I noticed that's quite noticeable is when they capture Princess Leia's ship, instead of breaking through the door like they do in the movie, they have a scene to where they chop a hole in the ceiling and they drop through the ceiling of the spaceship, which was a pretty cool difference. And then it has the same beginning with R2-D2 and C-3PO. There's a little bit difference because C-3PO winds up getting tangled in some wires for a moment, but then they escape and they move on and they run into Princess Leia. Princess Leia puts the message on R2-D2, and then they go to the escape pod, and then Princess Leia gets captured and brought before Darth Vader. And they have that same kind of conversation. After that meeting, she actually spits in Darth Vader's face, which was a pretty cool difference. Then, after that, they go into Luke Skywalker, and instead of having it how he's introduced in the movie, they have a couple more scenes with him to where he goes to the Tashi power station, and he spends some time with a couple of his friends, and one of his friends there is Biggs. And if you ever watch the deleted scenes, you've seen these scenes before, but you actually meet Biggs later when he goes to fight the Death Star. But him and Biggs have a couple conversations, and then it goes back to C-3PO and R2-D2. They have that argument, and he wants to go one way, and you know, the dialogue is very close to the movie, which was really cool. A lot of the dialogue that's in the movie is in the book, which I really loved. I really loved that part about it. But when C-3PO sees the transport that's by the Jawas, in the movie he goes, over here, over here. But in the book he doesn't say that. And I was looking forward to him saying that in the book, but he didn't, because for some reason that's a line that really stuck with me. I thought it was funny on how he lets the people know, his captors know where he is, which was pretty cool, like a sitting duck. And then the whole scenes happen to where R2D2 and C3PO get bought by Luke Skywalker, and then you see the hologram, and Luke is fascinated by Princess Leia, and then he's like, I want to hear more of the message, so he takes off the restraining bolt, and then R2D2 escapes, and then they go after them, and the same thing with the Sand People and all that is there. But the difference is when they meet Obi-Wan, they go to Obi-Wan's place, and they're there, and most of the dialogue is pretty much not exactly the same, but very close to the same. But there's one thing that stuck out that's not in the movie that was kind of funny. And Obi-Wan actually says to Luke Skywalker during their conversation, you can't teach a duck to walk. And Luke Skywalker's like, what's a duck? And it kind of makes sense because Luke Skywalker was born and raised on Tatooine, so he wouldn't know what a duck is. And it's kind of cool to know that ducks are in the Star Wars universe. I don't know if they look the same as the ducks here, but that was kind of interesting to me. And there's the same things that happen. Luke Skywalker wants to go with Obi-Wan to Alderaan, and the same thing that happens to the reason why he wants to go to Alderaan. And then they go to the cantina, and the events leading to the cantina is very much like what's in the movie. But one difference is when they get to the cantina, even the I don't serve their kind here was in there, which was pretty cool. Is when Luke Skywalker is left alone, when Obi-Wan is in the cantina trying to find a pilot, and Luke Skywalker is at the bar, and those two guys approach him, and he goes, I don't like you, and he doesn't like you either. And Luke Skywalker actually gets pushed, and then Obi-Wan comes and fights him, defends him, and then chops off an arm. Well, in the book, Obi-Wan is lethal in this scene, and he actually murders one or two people. It's kind of hard to tell. I believe he murders more than one person, but he actually kills at least one person in that scene. And then the other things, they wind up meeting Chewbacca, and then Chewbacca leads him to Han Solo. But Han Solo is getting a lap dance when he's first introduced. He's getting a lap dance. They meet, and the same thing is the same thing. The only difference is there's a lap dance there, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And then they set up the same deal, and Han Solo actually meets with Jabba the Hutt before they take off. Now, if you've seen the updated versions, when they redid it, the newer versions of these movies, you've seen this scene before. Now, in my opinion, I wish they wouldn't have put the scene in. I think this movie was better without the scene, because I never liked the look of Jabba the Hutt in that scene anyways. And in the book, it's a fat guy, not a big worm like Jabba the Hutt. And I really think they should have just left it out. But that's a difference that's in the book. And it's nice to know that was in the book. That's why they wanted to put it in the extended versions, because that was in the original story. But the same conversation about how he's going to, pay him back when he'll pay him back double. And the same conversation. So they have it. They take off in the same way. And the next thing that I noticed that was different, the training session is a little bit different. Not much, but it's a little bit different. Luke Skywalker has more attempts at fighting that thing. You've got that chess game. They talk about that. The line's not exactly the same, but it's pretty much, if don't let it look. You don't want to lose you don't want to beat a Wookiee, because if a Wookiee loses, he's going to rip off your arms. That's, I don't think he says it exactly like that. But when Alderaan gets destroyed, Obi-Wan does not sense it in the book. So I'm glad that in the movie they added it to where he sensed the planet getting destroyed, because that would make a lot of sense. Okay. Now the next thing is when they're going along, they actually first see the Death Star. And another difference is when Luke Skywalker sees the Death Star, instead of saying I have a bad feeling about this, he says I have a strange feeling about this, which is something that I noticed. And then when they capture the Millennium Falcon and Darth Vader goes by the Millennium Falcon. If anybody's familiar with the movie, Darth Vader has a line where he's like, I sense a presence that I haven't felt in a long time. That's not in the book. Although later on, there's signs that he senses Obi-Wan's presence, but not at the beginning. And I really like that they added that in the movie, of him claiming that he senses a presence there. And yeah, all the other things on the Death Star are pretty much the same. There's little differences in when they fight the Death Star and everything, but it's pretty much the same stuff. You know, I didn't want to go over every single detail. But the next detail is kind of one that I've had conversations with my friends about. Why didn't Chewbacca get an award when he really deserved one? Because he put in the same amount of fighting as Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. But in the book, Chewbacca gets the medal. As along with Luke Skywalker gets one and Han Solo gets one, which is a lot cooler with Chewbacca getting a medal. I don't know why they took that out. I don't know. Maybe wikis don't want a medal or something. Maybe because as this story went on, you could tell that they've changed a couple things around because new ideas were added. And I don't believe they really called it a Death Star too often. It is mentioned that it's a Death Star, but usually it's just a battle station, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all the differences that really stuck out to me. There were a lot more, but I didn't want to make this really tedious and do every single thing that I noticed. But yeah, let me give you my opinion of this book. The thing that's really great is that George Lucas wrote a fantastic book. I mean, a lot of the lines that I love in the movie are there in the book. And a lot of the things that happen in the movie happen in this book. George Lucas did a wonderful job with this book. This book was written very well. It's a very exciting, fast-paced story, and I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. You know, I really recommend the movie. The movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. Probably is my favorite movie. Now, a lot of people would say, I prefer Empire Strikes Back, but in my opinion, I really like Star Wars a little bit more because that's my introduction to this world. And I've always loved this movie pretty much all my life. I mean, I watched this when I was 8 years old, and it blew me away when I was 8 years old. I've watched a bunch of how they made Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I really love this book, and I really love the movie. I highly recommend it, and that's about it. May the Force be with you. So, if you like this video, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. That would be really incredible. I really love those like buttons. Every time I see that people like the videos, I'm very happy. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And I love to respond to you, and I love communicating with everybody that communicates with me. It's great talking to you, so please leave me a comment. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I'm always making new content, and I'm always trying to make the content better. As a matter of fact, this is the third time of me filming this video. The last time I filmed it, it actually went out of focus, and I had to redo this video again. But that's okay. I don't mind doing the work. But just let you know that I really make an effort to try to make these videos the best that I can. And that's about it. I'm Peter the Book Lover. I want to thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you in the next video.